everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thank you so much for waiting for us. We've had a little bit of technical issues today. Actually, not a little, a lot of tech issues today, but we are here and we are bringing you the show, you guys. We're talking about Kyle Lowry and where he may end up if the Raptors decide to trade him. We're also getting into some updates about Russell Wilson, but before we do all that, make sure you hit subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Britt is out today because we're having those tech issues, so it's just going to be me and Jackie today. Jackie, introduce yourself.
I am Jackie Ray. You can find me still on Instagram @JRayTheFanatic.
So, Jackie, I did see on your Instagram that you are fully pulling the KD and using a burner account. So, do you want people to follow you on your fake account?
No, I mean you can, but it was so funny because I was telling our producer before the show that I went to respond to something. I was trying to debate on this whole should LeBron sit or should he not. We'll talk more about that later. And I made this beautiful long detailed tweet and I went to hit send and then the thing came up that said you are not able to use this function. I totally forgot that I was banned. So then I was like, I know I got another burner account that has my name in it. I do have burner accounts that don't have my name in it. I was like, I know I got at least one that actually has my name in it. So I went and found it and I am using it. I'm actually going to show it to y'all today, but don't follow me on that because then what'll happen is I'll start using that one and I like my regular account. So I need my regular account to come back to normal is what I need.
Oh my gosh, it's a rough time in Twitter jail for you, Jackie. I'm sorry about that. Hey, since you got a late start on the show today, first need to know news story. Let's talk about Kyle Lowry, okay? So, Toronto Raptors veteran Kyle Lowry's time with the Raptors organization may be coming to an end soon. And if he does get traded, he would apparently like to end up with the 76ers. A source said that Kyle would like to be in Philly. This is according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. They wrote, quote, "The source believes the Sixers and Raptors might be able to get something done, but if it comes to that, Toronto would most likely want some picks, young players, and veterans with expiring contracts for Kyle Lowry, who's making $30 million this season. The Raptors do want to make sure that they reward their star player for his service to the team throughout the years by sending him to a legitimate title contender. So set him up for success, basically.
And so, I mean, I like Kyle. I love him. I love the Raptors as a whole, but they don't have that superstar. They need that superstar element. And so I think that this is just the understanding of we got to move things around because we do need to be able to bring a superstar in. What superstar that will be right now? Because I feel like all the superstars are set where they are right now. They are all doing what they need to do where they are. They've all made the moves they needed to make to get to where they want to be. And now they're there. And so I don't know what kind of room you're making and what superstar you can actually get. But, I'm assuming that they're working something behind the scenes. But Kyle over in Philly makes perfect sense for Philly because Philly already has their superstars, in my opinion, in the Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I know some of y'all in the chat will probably disagree. They do need a piece to fit in between the two of those people to make it work. And I think that Kyle could be that person. So in that aspect, I love it. I don't know where else he could possibly go where it would make sense to me. I wouldn't. The Clippers. I know the Clippers are an option, but I'm not a fan of the Clippers in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just going to say no to that. But I do understand why he would be good over there. I guess. Because we definitely could not use him on the Lakers. That would be overkill for now. But I do think the best fit would be in Philly.
I understand that too. Jackie, I love with the Clippers, you're like, that's a no for me, dog. Kyle would probably be happier and better off if he was with a team that did have a higher chance of being a title contender. And I like that the Raptors are taking that into consideration for him if they do decide to. But it's just an interesting thing. And it kind of begs the question, is a team's personal relationship with a player more important than business or their on-court relationship? How do you feel about that kind of question?
I think they are both equally important because we've seen time and time unhappy, and then a couple of days later, he's in Brooklyn and he's thin again, which I think every woman on the planet would like to know that diet plan because that was ridiculous. But all of a sudden, he's thin again and he's moving and he's doing what he needs to do. But we've seen that when players are upset, it just doesn't. We saw that when when Kawhi was upset, that relationship, that personal relationship sometimes does. No, I think they're both equally important. I think that players need to be about their business, and obviously so does the franchise. But those personal relationships need to be up to par as well.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. But also, just would love to know those secrets. Let's figure that out someday. But let's move into another player who's in the middle of trade talks, Russell Wilson. So a report, everything that's been playing out this offseason, representatives for the Seahawks and Russell Wilson have reportedly broached the idea of a trade with the team's front office. The Raiders, Dolphins, Saints, and Jets are among the potential landing spots for the 8-time Pro Bowl quarterback. Some people around the league think that a trade could happen, if not this offseason, then sometime in the near future. That's according to The Athletic. So we've kind of talked about Russell Wilson's problems with the organization, and it stems from a fundamental disagreement with Carroll this is, again, all per The Athletic. He believes that Carroll's style is holding him and the team back from reaching the statistical and team heights of other quarterbacks in the league. And apparently the NFL Network said that probably 1/3 of the league reached out to the Seahawks to gauge trade interest in Russell Wilson, and starting price on a deal right now would be 3 first-round draft picks. So
this relationship has definitely declined because it seemed, I mean, at least to us on all fronts, it appears that they were getting along fine and things were going great. Now, I would imagine that it probably started to decline when Pete Carroll made that call to try to pass the ball instead of handing it off to beast mode, and then they didn't win that Super Bowl. It probably started to decline then because we haven't really seen them duplicate that success since then. But at the same time, I think you need to figure this out because if you are looking for a trade, there's only 2 places that I think he should even consider, and that is the Saints, my Saints, which that's a whole nother conversation, or Dallas. Because Dallas is that team that, poor Dallas, they've always got the talent, they always got the weapons, but it seems like they don't never have no bullets. And so maybe Russell would be the bullets for them and they could actually get over the hump. I had said that if he ended up in Dallas, he would demand a certain amount of respect, a certain amount of upgrade as far as everyone around him would level up just a little bit, and they would probably level up enough that we would either see a deep playoff run from the Dallas Cowboys, or dare I say, we might even see a Super Bowl run from them. Him going to New Orleans makes sense as well because we've got this whole quarterback chaos over there. I personally don't want to see him over there because I love Jameis and I want Jameis to be up next. We saw when Drew lost his last game, he looked at Jameis and he told him, he's like, you are next. You are up next. And I am for that. I don't like the thought of him, being skipped over for that. However, if New Orleans does not have the same faith in Jameis that Drew Brees does, then maybe you do look at somebody like a Russell. But Russell's shorter. He does have a hard time seeing over some of these really tall men that be coming at him 100 miles an hour. Sometimes that is a detriment to him, but he's very mobile. He's very good at what he does. But you need to make a very wise decision, Russell, because if your goal is to be on a team that has Super Bowl potential, I can tell you, you do not want to go to Miami. You do not want to go to Las Vegas, and you damn sure don't want to go to the Jets. That's just out. So you need to either repair the relationship that you have with Pete Carroll right now, or you say that my only landing spots, the only place I will consider is Dallas or New Orleans, and that should be the end of that conversation.
I agree with you. I feel like working with a coach that you're not that happy with is going to be better for Russell than going, especially to the Jets. That just doesn't seem to make sense. But again, we've always talked about keeping an unhappy star on a team. Is it really going to be a good situation? Can it ever be a good situation? We saw how things played out with James Harden when he wanted to leave the Rockets. So it definitely does get tricky. So if he's decided that his Super Bowl dreams are less important than his own personal happiness, then fine. Go to the Dolphins, go to the Jets, go wherever. But if he still wants to be a winning athlete, then that's not going to be a good idea. There needs to be some sort of like heart-to-heart happening there between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. If the Seahawks do decide to trade Russell Wilson, do you think that they'll regret it in the future, or will they be okay with that decision and find an adequate replacement?
I mean, that's a tough question because you don't know who. I don't even honestly know who the backup is over there. I probably should know that, but I know it's not a name that's going to get you to the Super Bowl. So I am very much, when you make a decision, you just rock with it, whatever that is. Don't have this buyer's remorse because you get paid big bucks to make a decision based on the facts that are presented to you. So yes, this relationship between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll seems to have declined in a major way. If you can't repair that, and it's interesting because I think Pete Carroll is actually a really good coach who actually cares about his players. And I think that's very, very obvious. So if their relationship has declined to the point where they can't get it back, that'd be very interesting. I'd be interested to find out how that came about because they both seem like very level-headed, very logical people who are willing to kind of let bygones be bygones if they can find mutual ground. So I would be interested to know if this is really more of a Russell Wilson thing, or if this is similar to what we saw back in the day when Bill Belichick wanted to go more with Jimmy Garoppolo than he did with Tom Brady. And there was that whole disconnect between him and Tom Brady, and they never quite repaired that relationship. So I wonder if Pete Carroll is like, look, you can't be a quarterback forever. You've ran your course. Now I'm interested in somebody else, because that would make more sense than just Russell being like, you don't say I want to go to Miami and you on the Seattle Sea. That doesn't make a lick of sense. So I just don't understand that whole thing. My first goal, if I was the owner of that organization, would be to try to repair the relationship between Russell and Pete Carroll. And then if I can't make that work, then I'm dealing him off. But if I'm Russell's agent, I'm like, look, you need to take all these off your list. It's only Dallas or New Orleans, and that's it. I see some people in the chat said he would be a great fit with the Raiders. Nobody's a great fit with the Raiders because you know why? You have Gruden over there. And until Gruden disappears from that franchise, everybody who goes over there is going to end up in a trash season. So no, that is not ever going to be a good fit. I am so sorry to break that bubble for you, but welcome to reality. It's a thing, you guys. He's a terrible coach. I'm sorry.
Jackie, say it like it is. I love it. One thing that I do want to add is just a little update about how the nature of the relationship with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll has kind of disintegrated. Apparently, Russell was frustrated that his offensive strategies weren't being taken seriously, and so he actually stormed out of a practice. Now, that's according to the most recent report about what's been going on. So the details of that we're still kind of like trying to figure out. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, with all that we see of Russell, can you see him storming out of anything? I just don't see him storming out of anything.
I don't see him storming either, but what that tells me is if he truly did storm out, that means things have gotten pretty bad. That means he is really frustrated. So I mean, of course, we hear these reports all the time about players like throwing something, storming out, yelling, and then, people who were actually there say it really wasn't as bad as everybody is saying it was. Right. So we don't know for sure what happened, but if Russell Wilson is storming out of practice, I think we need to start paying attention to what's going on and what might be happening behind the scenes. In other news, I do want to mention The Texans are actually completely refusing to trade Deshaun Watson. We have been following this really closely, and he has been very clear about how he wants to leave Houston. He doesn't want to be there anymore. Russell hasn't really said anything, but the trade is already a conversation with him, and it makes me wonder, why do you think some teams are so resistant to trading a player who does want to leave, whereas other teams are just willing to let go of the star if the star is unhappy? What's your response to that?
I think the Deshaun Watson situation is a little different. I think that there is a level of more lunacy going on over there, because you did sign him to this big contract. You did give him this no trade clause. And so in their mind, it's like, look, we've given you the farm. We're not going to let you take the farm with you. You're going to stay here on this farm with us, and you're going to cultivate this land. It's kind of what they're thinking, but they're not thinking it through properly, because they literally took away all of his weapons, and they made really horrible choices. They made promises that they didn't deliver on. But yet, and I feel like in Texas, the Texans are feeling like, okay, but so what? We still gave you contractually everything that you wanted, and now you owe us. So they feel a little bit more entitled to kind of put their foot down with Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun Watson, I think he's resolved in his own mind. I think he feels like, no, I'm not going to play for a franchise that's trash. And I don't know what they could possibly do in this upcoming draft to make that situation a little bit more viable. They would have to definitely trade some things out to get him some wide receivers in there that could actually work. And I think he did amazing things. You know, he was the number one, had the number one passing rating passing yards this season, and with no real receivers. And so that's an amazing thing. So if you get him some weapons in there, but I think in his mind, the relationship is done. You've lied to me on numerous occasions. I've told you we wanted to build. You said, okay, cool. And then you traded my best, receiver. It doesn't make sense to me. You said, okay, you know what? We understand you want some input. We're going to give you that input. We're going to let you have some input as to who we hire as a head coach and a GM. He said, okay, cool. And then they went and hired him, without even consulting him. So you haven't presented yourself as an organization that I can trust. So if I can't even trust you to do the business right, I can't trust you to build this team right, because you had a weapon and you didn't work with it. So there's no trust there. So the logical thing, even from a business aspect, would be to understand that once that kind of trust is gone, it's just not coming back. And they should cut ties, but I feel like they feel very entitled to him right now, and they are going to play this one for all it's worth. And he's going to have to sit out this entire season. And I had said this on another podcast. He's going to have to sit out the entire season to prove that he is serious about this before they will trade him. So he's going to have to take a loss on that. But if he's very serious, then he's just going to have to do that, because teams will wait for him. He is that quarterback. Teams will wait. Teams will watch this thing play out, and at the end of that season, they will scoop him up. But he's got to be ready to sit out an entire season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very strange what's happening over there. And Deshaun Watson has handled all of these trade talks so well. We've really commended him on our show for just going about it in all the right ways. And it's just unfortunate that they're not giving him, they're not bending. They're not giving into anything that he wants, and they probably should, because he doesn't want to be there. He's unhappy. He is begging to leave, and it's not going to serve them at all to hang on to him. But that wraps up Need to Know News. So, Jackie, let's lighten things up a little bit with the post up.
Yes, let's go into the post up and have some good laughs, you guys, because they are a coming. I can promise you. This first one, though, is going to be a head scratcher. We're going to have some conversations about it. SportsCenter posted this to their Twitter, saying that the Celtics CEO and governor is basically blaming Kyrie for the problems that they are having over there in Boston. And I don't know if that's entirely fair, but I know it's probably a little small. So I blew up his quote so you guys can see it, to see exactly what the governor said. And if we can get that next one up there, because I just want to see it, I have everyone to see it. But he said, "We had hoped that Kyrie would stay forever." That's a long time. And he would lead us all the way. That change touched off a lot of stuff because he left a bit of a domino effect. So this is one of those things that I say, again, this is poor planning. If you're a business person, this happens. Players come and go. You as a business organization, you trade players all the time. So if you really had no plan after Kyrie, that's not a Kyrie problem. That's a you problem. But fans had something to say about it as well. So let's get to some of these tweets. because one says we don't grasp the real reason, but this one is great. This first fan says, I remember when Celtics fans told me that Kemba is better than Kyrie, and we were happy to see him leave. And then somebody responded and said, the Celtics fans for you, they act in denial, Trump supporters mostly. I don't know about that, but maybe. And then this next one, I actually agree with this user because he says, it's clear no one under this post actually knows why Kai left Boston. GM's lack of movement / stock in the future was a higher priority list than winning a chip. Coach's insertion of undeserving players led to chemistry issue, toxic / racist fans turned on him, and Boston media. I don't know if y'all ever been to Boston, but all of that sounds right. So I don't see any lies in that specific post. And I don't necessarily think it's fair for the GM and the CEO to blame this on Kyrie because it is your job to have other plans. So, Devin, do you think it's fair to put this all on Kyrie, the failures of this franchise now?
No, I don't think it's fair at all. Kyrie got traded to Boston, so to expect him to stay there forever and never leave was really short-sighted on their part. Of course, I feel like they probably hoped, they probably felt like they could encourage him to stay, but to ever expect him to stay forever and not have that plan for if he does choose to leave, it was just not smart on their part. Plus, they were happy to get done, so I don't know. I don't think it's fair at all.
Yeah, no, it's not fair at all. And you sound really ridiculous because he's gone. He's doing his thing. You should be doing your thing and stop looking over your shoulder and start planning for the future like you supposedly was supposed to be doing anyway. But speaking of Kyrie, he is like a lot of us. I know when I have been saying they should change the logo long before, just so it's a little bit more current, the NBA logo. But then when Kobe passed, all of us, and I don't know a person that didn't think this way, all of us felt that, maybe the logo should be changed now. So Kyrie posted this to his IG and basically said that he thinks the logo should be changed. And I like this. I wouldn't like it like this specifically, because obviously I do like that the fact that it's the silhouette. But I like this picture in the new silhouette of the NBA logo. I think that would be so dope. So he posted this in his IG. I know you can't see it. So this next one, I'm going to show you exactly what he said. He says, gotta happen. I don't care what anyone says. Black Kings built the league. So that's where I think it triggered. People were triggered. I feel like people need a button saying I'm triggered because people were triggered by that. One fan said it was racist, and he says him saying Black Kings built the league is just disrespectful and low-key racist. Larry Bird, Jerry West, that's a rare L for Kyrie. And then someone clapped back, said Black people can't be racist, number one. Number two, take this L. I like Gina. Gina is my new friend. If I could friend her, I would, but I'm still in Twitter jail, so I can't friend her, but I'm gonna come back to you, Gina, and me and you gonna be Twitter friends. And then this fan doesn't like him saying it because he says it kind of creates color line. Definitely agree, should be Kobe, but why make it a racial issue instead of Kobe was just a global icon and a phenomenal basketball player. Suddenly anything white is racist by continually shaming all white men for just being white, even when they are in support of equality. So that's the question I wanted to ask. Y'all know I'm rooting for everybody Black. I'm very pro-Black. I'm not ashamed of that. So I share Kyrie's sentiment. But Devin, I want to ask you, do you feel like constantly pointing to all the greatness? Well, this is going to be a hard question for me to ask because I don't believe it in my heart. But do you feel that, someone like Kyrie constantly pointing to the greatness that, Black people have contributed to sports like the NBA, it creates more of a divide, and it should just stop, and we should say, hey, we want to change the logo because Kobe was awesome, and just leave it at that?
No, I don't think it creates more of a divide. I think that for a long time, Black people, Black athletes, artists, creators, businessmen and women, they've been overlooked. They haven't received the credit that they so deserve, where white people have always been able to get the credit and like the accolades whenever we go for something. So I don't feel this way at all. In fact, I covered this morning in one of our stand-up videos that you guys could check out after the show if you want. I think that using a Black athlete for in a logo for a league that's made up of mostly black players is absolutely a great decision. That isn't to say that Jerry West didn't deserve that spot. I think that that's become an iconic logo, and we all recognize it immediately as being the NBA, and it's great. But I think that updates are wonderful, and I think that Kobe is he was such a legendary and impactful player in the league. He is a black man, so he does represent most of the population of the league, and I think it would be a really great way to honor him. I am 100% in support of this. I agree 100% with the way Kyrie put it. I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Yep. So there you have it, people. Jackie Ray and Devin Howard have spoken. Get out your feelings. We said what we said, okay? That's what that is. All right. So let's move on to something that's going to snatch that smile right off of my face because I'm mad. This is ridiculous. I know y'all saw that game last night between Utah and the Lakers. That was so embarrassing, you guys. And I'm over it. I'm really over this losing streak. I'm not mad at the L. I didn't expect us to win in Utah, but I'm mad that LeBron was still playing. But nonetheless, let's get to what the King said about the loss. He made a comment and says, even after 4 straight losses, he remains confident. I'm confident after 4 straight losses, but I digress. He says, this won't define who we are. We'll be far from this won't define who we are. We'll be for the rest of the season and for the long haul. That's for sure. Okay. Here's the problem, LeBron. Somebody needs to grab some popcorn, his favorite wine, and just sit down with LeBron and watch the playback, because this might define who you are, because you're out there playing tired. You are a 36-year-old man who's averaging about 35 minutes per game. There are people younger than you that aren't averaging 35 minutes per game, and you need to sit down. So I took to my burner account to say as much. I said, if King James is playing in the second half, then we know that Frank Vogel needs to grow a pair. I know he is the king and you don't want to upset him, but protect him from himself and sit him down, sir. And he came back out in the second half and looked more tired than he did in the first half. How is this beneficial? How does this make sense, Frank Vogel? You need to coach him. We can't win without AD and LeBron. That's just proven. We need both to make a deep run and, dare I say, run it back. If he's tired and sad and has to put his hands on his hip every couple seconds because he'd been out here for 35 minutes per game, stop. This don't make no sense. I'm very disappointed in you, Frank Vogel. I need you to grow up here and do better. Devin, what do you think about the fact that LeBron played that game like that, especially how tired he looked in the first half and then came back and they didn't make any adjustments. They didn't change anything. They didn't do anything any differently in the second half. If you were going to take the L, at least switch some things up and try some things. How did you feel about how we looked last night in Utah?
I mean, I'm glad LeBron's not worried, but I'm starting to feel a little bit worried because this guy is not listening to his body and he's not taking time to just rest and recuperate. And I agree with you 100%. Frank Vogel needs to start making the calls. He needs to start laying down the law because LeBron's the kind of guy that's going to suit up and play in every single game. He's going to view sitting out as like a sign of weakness or a failure. And what we need right now is for him to preserve his health so that he can make it through the end of the season. And, AD is going to be coming back somewhat soon in the next, I think it's 4 weeks or whatever, maybe less than that. So until then, just take a little bit of a rest, because if this keeps up, if he tires himself out, we're not going to be doing so well come playoff time.
No, I literally watched that game and I was like, why am I tired? Because I'm looking at you be tired, and now it's like when people yawn and then all of a sudden you yawn. It was like watching him be tired. I was like, I am so tired right now. Stop.
You're like,
put him down.
It's a rough day.
Oh man, I need that wine. It was too much. Somebody sit down with LeBron, get him some wine, and be like, you see how you're not really running right there? You see how you're like, whew, yeah, we're gonna sit down. Like, come on, my guy, do better. All right, let's get to the next one. The next one is funny because we have kind of clowned the jerseys from the Miami Heat. I think justifiably so. I still see that Gobert or whatever that yogurt is. I still see that whenever I see them play in those jerseys. But they've got these new jerseys. These are their reward jerseys, the jerseys they got for, going to the playoffs. Now, when I saw this, I was like, what in the bootleg hell? It looks like a bootleg Lakers jersey. Like, you can literally go down off the freeway when the Lakers play, and somebody made these at home, and you see Laker jerseys that kind of look like this. But these are their new jerseys, and they haven't even been released yet, but it's just like, okay, we're thinking about this, and fans are like, no, think about something different, because they are not a fan of these jerseys at all. Twitter went in. We got some of these responses. NBA is out of hand with the amount of specialty jerseys each team has. Tradition is dead. I don't mind a special edition jersey here and there, but it's legit impossible to keep track anymore. Every team seems to have at least 5 or 6 jerseys every season. No argument there. As a person who purchases them, it's facts. It's annoying. But then we have some more reactions. Like I said, fans are just not going for it. One fan said horrible. Another one said exactly. They look like the Pacers jerseys. They kind of do. They keep coming though, guys. Nobody really likes it. I don't mind tweaking a uniform design here and there, but at least stick to the original colors. Red, orange, black is Miami Heat. Stop with this gimmicky, Miami Vice colors, whatever. That was earlier this season, and now this gimmicky. Stop that. And then another fan had to remind him that yellow is actually in the logo. It is in the logo, but I didn't see any red. Can we post that picture one more time? Because I did not see any red at all in that original jersey. Do you see? Okay, maybe it's on the back. I don't know, but I don't see any red at all in that jersey. I think this is a trash jersey for the Miami Heat. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. But Devin, what do you think about this jersey? Considering their colors, I mean, it's definitely an upgrade from that swirly orange sherbet looking thing or whatever. But I don't know. What do you think of this?
Okay, so I don't know if you remember, I didn't hate those the pastel trips or Gogurt, whatever. I didn't hate those, but now that I see that there's just no cohesion to this whole jersey collection that they have, they've got pink and blue, and then they've got yellow, and then I realized that yellow is in the logo, but it's not. If you had asked me without looking at the logo, is there yellow in the Miami Heat logo, I never would have said yes. I would have forgotten the little flames at the end of that basketball. So it just seems kind of confusing. These are a basic jersey. I don't hate them, but I just feel like whatever this designer is doing, they're just kind of all over the place right now.
Right. I love what Mama Machine said. He said the Heat must really want the smoke with the Pacers. They whooped them in the postseason, and now they're stealing their jerseys. I love that. It kind of looks like that. I don't know, guys. I'm not here for these jerseys at all. But look, this next one. So yesterday we saw Jason Tatum and Draymond Green in a commercial. And I know endorsements are very important, especially for your pocketbook. I get that. Or for your bank account. I don't think men carry pocketbook. Whatever. So it's very important for your bank account. But can we this isn't bad acting. It's not. But it's very, very cringy. But Alex Caruso got him a commercial. Now, if you look at that picture, you think, oh, this isn't going to be bad. But y'all look what the commercial is for. It's for Manscaped. Y'all know what Manscaped is. So that automatically means it's going to be a cringe-worthy commercial. So I said all that to prepare you. Get ready for the cringe. Here we go.
Precision. Power. And if you want to score, you got to be smooth.
Oh my god. No. Stop.
Head over to manscaped.com to get your lawnmower 3.0 and receive free shipping with your online order.
Oh, God.
Alex Caruso. It's so funny because, it's a cringy commercial, but let's say Kelly Oubre Jr. was the one doing it, I would be all about it. But then since it's Alex Caruso's just kind of seems a little weird to me.
Oh my God. And the music, y'all played the old school Skinamax music in the background. It's too much. And then they did the photo shoot. People said that he looked like what's that, Zoolander. I actually like the photo shoot because he looks like, all right, I'm just doing my thing. This is not cringy. This is this one's okay. I know people said he looked like Zoolander, but I actually like the photo shoot. But the burnt chicka burnt brown commercial, I could have lived my whole life without that. That was a lot for me. And just love you, Alex Caruso, but show us less. This was too much for your girl, Kelly. Now, but the thing is, it still would have been crazy though if they had the burnt chicka brown brown music. Is my thing. And then you just go, I don't know. Let's just move on because that one's going to be in my head for the rest of the day. So let's move on to this next. Okay, so we're just going to get into this last one. I don't know if you guys heard any of that, but if you didn't, the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Marquette Golden Eagles, they played a game together. Now, this wasn't a game that was scheduled. They announced it that they were going to play this game together, and it was kind of weird because like I said, it wasn't scheduled, and it doesn't mean anything. It's a non-conference game. It doesn't mean a thing to either team. And of course, the Eagles ended up winning that game 83-70, which made it even more like, what was the point? What was the point in that? So here we go in this post-game interview, and Roy Williams has this question. We've talked about this before. What is a stupid question? I'm on the fence with this one, if this was a stupid question or not. So I'm just going to let y'all see it, and you guys let me know if this was a stupid question. But even if it was a stupid question, I'm still here for it because it brought out the best in Roy Williams. So take a look at this.
What would you say to Carolina fans who are questioning whether or not it made sense to schedule this game considering the result?
Well, if I'd known we were going to lose, God.
This is my new favorite person. This was so great. I'm not going to get caught up in hindsight. This is ridiculous. You guys stop asking me stupid questions. But Twitter said it was not necessarily a stupid question because of the fact that, again, this wasn't a game that was scheduled already. So this first person said, just saw they played Marquette non-conference, guessing this was a makeup game of sorts. So I'm doubling down on my that was a legitimate question. So they're saying, yeah, obviously since this wasn't a real game or a scheduled game, let's find out why it was scheduled. But then somebody else was like, no, it was almost a good question, but it wasn't. It was a somewhat legit question until dude said, considering the result at the end, which implies if they won, then playing was smart. But since they lost, it wasn't. Any question that lets hindsight do all the work for it isn't a very good question. The answer is always duh, which is so true. Like, I wouldn't have done X, Y, and Z if I knew A, B, and C was going to happen. So yes, but nonetheless, shouts out to that reporter because I am definitely going to replay that in my head several times because I love that. Now, I've always said that Cleveland is purgatory. I tried to make it that it was the king of the North when Odell went over there, but they have failed me miserably. So I am sticking to my guns, and I am saying that the Cleveland Browns is the NFL's definition of purgatory. And I've always said players should try to get out. Myles Garrett seems to be trying to get out. But when I say that, I mean go to another football team. Seems like Myles Garrett is like, nah, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get out because he seems to be pitching himself to Mark Cuban and the Mavs after the Porziņģis trade rumors. So look at this tweet and see what he said. He's like, you need a big guard. And I'm like, don't post that. You're going to piss Porziņģis off more. And Mark Cuban already said this wasn't true, but he was like, nah, I'm not going to just post this tweet. I'm going to give y'all this whole video to show you why I would be a good big man on your squad. So take a look at this video. Oh, it starts off pretty dope too. It starts off with the Conor McGregor saying, kind of hyping himself up. But will y'all take a look at Myles Garrett? First of all, I like me some Myles Garrett. I like Myles Garrett. I'm just gonna leave it at that. The muscles is working in this whole video. This is not cringeworthy at all to me. I like this video. And he's got moves. I had no idea he was this agile and could actually play. Okay, Myles Garrett, I am not mad at you at all. Devin, I'm going to have to go to you really quickly. Would this ever happen? Wouldn't this be crazy if we saw Myles Garrett leave the NFL? I don't see it happening. But if it did happen, how crazy would that be? He's got some moves. Are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not that surprised actually because we've seen lots of NBA and NFL athletes have this crossover, but he's a big guy. He's really big, but it would be, I'm not surprised that he's good, but I would be surprised if something actually happened.
Yeah, me too. But shouts out. I'm a fan of that video. I could take more Myles Garrett and with all his glory, I could take more videos like that. So do more, my guy, do more. This next one, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I do watch soccer, but I don't watch it enough to really be able to chime in on that. But I'm going to tell you, I think, based on what I do know, I think this guy has got it right. If you were going to pick all the best athletes from different sports to play the goalie position, I think this guy nails it on who would be the best at it. So take a look.
First up, it's the claw. Name a goalkeeper with bigger hands than this guy in the world. You can't. And how about DeAndre Hopkins? He's got great hands, great reflexes, athleticism, and slant boy. He's got to have good reflexes to catch ducks from Drew Brees. But what about legends? How about Calvin Johnson? Corner kicks never stood a chance. Here's a dark horse candidate. I think Paul George could be pretty good. How about another imposing figure in the goal? Travis Kelce. He makes a ton of diving catches.
So I'm here for all of that except for the Paul George one. I don't know about the Paul George one. But Megatron in there would be dope. Calvin Johnson, yeah, that man can catch anything. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't watch enough soccer to really have a solid opinion on that. But I think this guy did a pretty good job on picking these goalies. But that's all I got for the post up. Let's get into what we not gonna do now, because this one to me is hilariously gangsta. It's kind of savage and it's unnecessary, but we live in a time where pretty much every business has suffered in some way because of the pandemic. A lot of people have lost money, except for Jeff Bezos and Amazon. They're the only ones that actually made more money because of the virus and the pandemic. So a lot of sports ratings went down. A lot of organizations blame that on, the pandemic and other things. And this is the first year that Monday Night Football had under 11 million viewers. Usually it rounds about like 17, 18 million or something like that. So it took a hit. It was down about 17%. That was the first Monday night game. The following Monday night game was down to 7.6 million. So that is a huge dip, because after the opening Monday night game, they do average around 13 million. So it's a lot. So in 2015, you guys remember this because we've talked about this a lot. ESPN eliminated 350 positions. We probably didn't know that too. We didn't notice it as much because those were all behind the scenes. It wasn't people in front of the camera. It was all like cameramen and things of that nature. So they lost 350 of them. 2 years later, they dropped 100 people that were in front of the camera. And that's when we started talking about it, like, okay, this is a lot. Now you're firing the face of your organization. And that's when you know things are kind of serious. So we also know that ESPN is owned by Disney, and they just last year eliminated another 25% of their workforce just because they weren't getting the revenue. Theme parks, and their theme parks account for a big chunk of their revenue. So when you look at ESPN, you can't just look at ESPN by itself. You have to look at ESPN and Disney together because they're under the same umbrella. And that kind of helps you understand the money loss that ESPN is subsequently suffering because of the losses that Disney is suffering. So when you really understand that, that's going to make this next part break down and make more sense. So every time you watch an NFL game, if you're watching it on ESPN or Fox or wherever you're watching it, if you're watching it on DirecTV, they all have to pay the NFL a certain amount of money to be able to air those games. So I just want to break this down, how much this costs. So Fox pays $1.9 million with an M. I need you to understand it with an M, $1 million per season. CBS pays $1.1 billion per season. And then ESPN pays $2 billion per season. So ESPN is paying the highest amount, and that's to host Monday Night Football. All of these contracts are expiring this year. And so now the negotiations are starting. I started this whole thing by saying Amazon was the only one that's making a lot of money. You guys probably know, if you have Amazon Prime or something like that, that Amazon is now doing a simulcast for Thursday Night Football. So you can watch it on your regular network, wherever you watch that. But if you don't have regular TV or cable, then you can watch it on Amazon Prime because they do a simulcast. In my opinion, Amazon is positioning itself to be the one that kind of takes over Monday Night Football because they have decided ESPN went to the NFL and was like, all right, so now we're paying $2 billion a year. We understand that you want us to pay more money. Cool. Inflation, times are hard. We get that. How about we pay you $2.4 billion? $2.4 billion. That is a crazy amount of money. The NFL was like, nah, we good. We're going to take our $3.5 billion. $3.5 billion. They tried to negotiate. NFL wants no parts of it. They're like, no, run me my money or give me my Monday Night Football back. There's no negotiations, which is why I think Amazon is going to get it. I thought this was so gangster, so savage, and I thought people were going to be like, oh, boo, NFL. Nope. What we not going to do is pretend like anybody is out here checking for ESPN anymore, because everybody seems to be like, yeah, get rid of that. So look at what Twitter had to say about this possibly happening. I feel so bad for y'all, ESPN. Said, get it off, ESPN. Monday Night Football has been awful since they took over. Dang, y'all just shading ESPN like that. This next user said, give it to Amazon Prime, YouTube TV, or Yahoo. Nobody's watching Yahoo, though. ESPN is an outdated business model and has no long-term future. They'll get whatever they're told and like it. ESPN ripped off people for years, making people pay more cable bills for a channel with football, but bad content otherwise. So yes, you guys, people are not here for ESPN in any way, shape, or form. This person said, hopefully ESPN drops Monday Night Football, let someone who can actually do it justice get it. Then the NHL can go back to ESPN, better for everyone involved. And that is not a win for ESPN. Hockey does not have the same amount of viewers that the NFL has. So that is not a win for ESPN if that happens. But what we're not going to do is pretend like that wasn't the most gangster move by the NFL. Like, well, nope, we're not doing none of your negotiations. We want our money. Y'all been failing. You fired all these commentators, and now people don't really like you anymore. So just deal with it. Pay us our money, or we going to give it to somebody else. That is hilarious to me. That's all I got for what we're not going to do. I would love to see it on a network like YouTube. I watch Hulu. Hulu always brags that Hulu has live sports, but every time I go on to Hulu, there's a game I can't watch. So maybe give it to Hulu and let us watch it there. I don't know. Are you a fan of this idea of ESPN losing Monday Night Football, Devin?
I think so. We criticized ESPN so many times. Wow, there's a very bad echo right now. We've criticized ESPN for a variety of different reasons, and I feel like we're just kind of watching them sort of like crumble right now, and I think that it's about time. So moving Monday Night Football over to a streaming network, I think, makes it more available for a lot of people. I personally haven't had cable in a decade, so I just think that it's the best move. It would probably get the most viewers and just make it easier for everybody to watch. So I'm here for it too. I like this idea. Thanks for that, Jackie. But you guys, that's it for the show today. So we're going to wrap it up, but we are going to be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as usual. So make sure you guys tune in, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications so you know exactly when we're going live. Leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, do all the things. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and don't forget to manscape, I guess. Listen to Alex Caruso. We'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Say to Carolina fans who are questioning whether or not it made sense to schedule this game considering the result.
Well, if I'd known we were going to lose, God Almighty, I wouldn't schedule the thing. Come on, we can't operate in damn hindsight. God Almighty. If you'd told me we were going to lose, hell yeah, we wouldn't have played the game. If you'd told me we were going to beat the Lakers, I'd have scheduled them. Carolina fans, they're not that dumb. If they are, I got no answers for them.